I am Shim, manager at Bain and Company. And it's indeed an honor for me to be here with you as a moderator. Let me start with a very brief introduction on why this topic is important to you at this moment and what we expect you get from this session. As you all know, organization has been a top management agenda for a long time. And every organization has tried to enhance its effectiveness. So the topic itself is not brand new at all. But the problem is that very few Asian and Korean companies have done it right. And what is more challenging is that the bar is going up since many Korean and Asian companies need to do this increasingly on a global basis, which has much more complexity. Given this situation, today's session will be a very good opportunity for you to understand key challenges that many companies are facing today and to find some new insights and clues to address them.
Three things I want to talk about today. One is the problem when we think about organization effectiveness. We studied organizations in depth and found that only 15% of companies are in fact high performance when we truly benchmark them across a number of criteria, both organization criteria and financial criteria. Interesting enough, our work with our clients over the last 5 years has highlighted that the gap between the winners and the rest is actually widening as markets continue to globalize. Now, with that context, the secret, not surprisingly, that we have found is that this is not about organization structure. What we have found is that the winners, in fact, build an integrated, decision-driven organization system that emphasizes 5 key elements. I'll talk about that in a little bit. What is clear from our work is that as organizations develop, the need for clarity and consistency on these 5 elements is absolutely fundamental in a world that's globalizing. It unleashes enormous organizational energy and potential. Each of you here with your organizations will be on your own journey. From your perspective, it will be important for you to diagnose your starting point effectively to map out the journey to high performance. Speed is very important as we continue to see widespread industry turbulence in many markets around the world, and winners continue to adapt and to change and redefine their organizations as a source of competitive advantage. Let me briefly touch on some data to support some of these points. Sorry, I'm having trouble with that. Can you flick on the slide, please, for me? Here's some data just on the organizational point I made earlier on. Only 15% of companies from our database here of over 600 organizations have high-performance organizations, truly effective organizations. Many are stuck in the middle. Not surprisingly, companies that do have high-performance organizations enjoy higher growth rates, nearly twice the average, higher levels of profitability, and they're able to sustain this level of performance for longer periods of time, which is probably really the true benchmark of an effective organization. Can you sustain high-level performance over decades? Now, interestingly enough, this context is very important. The pressure, as each of you will know, in your organizations to grow and perform, those expectations are expanding. If you actually look at how global share markets value stocks, which is measured here in a number of key markets by market PE, and you actually strip out the implied growth rate from that market PE, in these mature and developed markets, there's actually an expectations gap between the underlying GDP growth of these economies and the expectation that the share market has on performance.
Let's start with this slide because I'm sure a question in the room is high-performance global organization. Why is Cisco up here? And why is BAT? There's some fantastic global companies in the audience today. So, that's a question I ask myself as well, is what gives us the privilege to stand up here to talk about some of our views? The second thing I wanted to kind of mention to everyone is there's no perfect answer for every company. So what I'm going to talk about is something that worked for Cisco. But just like we do try to learn from other companies as well, and hopefully I'll share some of that with you. So starting off with, in terms of why is Cisco up here as a potential high-performance global organization? So this chart that you see in front of you is the Wall Street market value of companies. And I guess, there's a lot of different measures of high-performance organization. Paul and Bain, they have shown some of the framework for that. But this is probably as objective as you're going to get. How does Wall Street value your company and your performance? So I think everyone remembers May 2001. Actually, those were the good old days before the bubble burst in the technology sector. So you can see Cisco's stock cap value of $135 billion and our competitors. Now let's look at that picture today. As you can see, the landscape of competition in our industry has changed dramatically. So Cisco has gained in market value from Wall Street's point of view, whereas all of our competitors combined have been dramatically decreased. So this is a fairly objective indication that what we are doing is good in the marketplace as well as we expand globally. The second point that I want to make is actually during the time of May 2001, our CEO, John Chambers, he had a conversation with the CEO of GE, Jack Welch. And they were talking, and John Chambers, he was very proud that we have a great leadership team that has built this company at 2001. It's called C-Lead, and it stands for C, collaboration. We think one of the most important things about a high-performance global organization and the special leadership team is collaboration. And let me just tell you a story in terms of when I first joined Cisco. One of the first things as a new employee I asked, can you show me an organization chart? And the reply was, we don't have one. Because we expect, depending on what the issue is, in terms of what the initiative is, we form teams around that. Today, you work for me. Tomorrow, I may work for you, even though I may be junior to that person. There is very little hierarchy in the organization, so that is one. Collaboration is important across the globe and across functions. That, I would say, is one of the number one success factors. Two is in terms of, once again, collaboration. And I think working with Asian companies, this is where some Asian companies fall short.
So it's new behaviors in old roles is what we're really looking for. There's a tendency when you've got 3 levels to do 3 levels of work, i.e. to do too much. And the stop doing stuff is absolutely just as important as the start doing stuff in this way of operating. And finally, those of you who play golf, there's a bit of finding the sweet spot. You've got to wiggle it around a little bit to find the sweet spot between who does what between end markets and regions and globe. And what is the right balance between the line and functions. You've got to play with it and learn as you go. And basically, what does that all mean? For me, it's really about leadership challenge. You need people to believe in this, to get out of bed in the morning to go lead this and to go do it, and to galvanize people to work together and try and find solutions together, and trust across different levels and different geographic areas, which is probably the critical thing also in any MAA and cross-border activity. Now, I've also been asked just to have a reflection on BAT career. I don't want to talk too much about our performance here. I want to talk about the BAT career people and how they fit a global enterprise. But basically, we've been pretty successful here. We're quite a big company now with 1,000 people. We're quite diverse. Our management ratios are 70-30 female, 30-70 rather, female to male, which is quite high for relative to Korean marketplace. It's quite a young company as well. Our average time of service is 4 years. So in that context, how does our Korean business unit fit the global world of BAT? So what I'm going to say is just a few points I've picked out, which is what it feels like for us. And hopefully you may be able to gain something for yourself out of this. So basically, in terms of supporting factors, what's great? Now, this is absolutely not just my view, but the view that you hear echoed around everybody who visits BAT Career. It's about the wonderful people we actually manage to get into our business. And I think this is also true of all my colleagues that I know working here in Korea. The actual talent, the raw talent of the Korean people is renowned across our world, and there's particular aspects of it. People are smart and resourceful, usually curious and quick to learn. There's a huge passion and energy, and the other aspect of it, it can be applied across the globe. We are now sending people across the globe. They are natural in their ability to fit other cultures. But there is a point here that we do find, the younger the better.